Do you know what I mean? But then some people go in and they get caught up in that. I can't live without this person. In reality, you can. And it's about building your foundation. And that's what I think people are missing, just that strong foundation of what they need to survive.
Welcome to the Optimum Human Podcast, the show that interviews the world's top experts in fitness, nutrition, mindset, and beyond. Let's get into the show.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Optimum Human Podcast. My name is Brian McKay, he's Claude Petroulis, and we are the hosts of the Optimum Human Podcast. Today we've got another awesome guest, Kerry Morgan. Kerry, how are you this morning?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Doing really well. And Claude, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm back on the coffee train, which I don't think I ever got off of, but I'm trying, but it is like a legit addiction. But other than that, I'm okay. Other than that, it's all good, man. It's all
remember,
good.
Do or do not, there is no try.
Oh, damn you, Yoda. All right.
So, Kerry, thank you for coming on today. First thing we'd like to ask everyone is basically, who are you, what do you do, and kind of how did you get here, if you will?
Okay, my name's Kerry Morgan. I am, you may say, a Valley girl, born in a little town outside of Pittsburgh, but I am here right now because I want to transform millions of people's lives to really let them step into their power. I'm a holistic lifestyle mentor for elite entrepreneurs and corporations worldwide. So I help with the growth mindset, focus, awareness. We're mostly living in the world of distraction. So I really build a strong foundation of self-love, awareness, and discipline so that more people can just find who they really are inside, right? And I got to this point by just being an entrepreneur for 20 years. We were running an MMA league, and total panic attack set in because just everything felt like it was falling apart around me. And I just told myself, is this what you really want in life? There has to be something more. So at that moment, I just pivot and, really went back inside and healed and figured out what I needed and what made me feel good about who I was as a person and how I can spread that message out to the world. So that is what led me on this journey to really get people to start thinking differently and living to their full potential. I've been living holistically for 20 years and just thought this was normal, right? And then I was just like, oh, well, people don't know how to do this. They don't know how to shop. They don't know how to just live their life or make a decision, right? So that is my little improv in that little tiny time, right? Is that good?
Beautiful.
That's perfect.
Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, if you're not used to, living, quote, holistically, you're tending to, buy prepackaged foods and eating at McDonald's and, just kind of doing the average run-of-the-mill thing that really doesn't serve people. And
also thinking prepackaged thoughts, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like that one.
I do.
I'm going to copyright that.
Yeah, definitely do that.
So what kind of happened with the MMA league? I mean, I can imagine how stressful that would be, but can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, how'd you get started with it? That's fascinating.
Yeah, that totally fell into our lap. My husband used to do chicken poultry, which he does still a little bit, but sell like meat from Purdue and to stores and stuff like that. So my son used to do a karate, and we had this guy. He brought us an opportunity. We knew he wasn't a business person. He was more like, oh, I just want to do something, but didn't really know how to put it together. So we had more connections with casinos, and we just know how to get stuff done, right? So we took the business side of it, and we scaled that, and we made sure the events were there. We did all the, the mental work, right?
Right.
He had to just put the fighters together, more or less make sure they showed up, made sure, they had tickets to sell. And that didn't work out too good because we found out he wasn't really holding up his end. So we kind of just bought him out, went in, jumped completely in 120%, knew nothing about this, right? Had to learn from scratch. And we were doing it for 6 years. I mean, it was one of the most amazing experience being in that world. But, like everything's kind of like laid out at your feet. You really are up there in people's minds. So people really look up to you. So it was more or less, when you're entrepreneur, it's definitely hard to delegate. I know we all have gone there, and I knew it was time to move to our next step. My husband, when he was kind of stuck, and just too many things that we were trying to do just ourselves, right? Like I was doing tickets. Once we bought that guy out, ticket sales, making sure the fighters were there, staff, everything. So I was a VP of operations, so kind of just going nuts. And that was every 6 weeks. So, I mean, that whole weekend, we practically didn't sleep, right? Just preparing and just doing that every 6 weeks. I mean, you definitely get a momentum, but you also are like totally just it's hard to stay on track a little bit because of so many things are coming at you at one time, and you have to free up your energy so you can make those awesome decisions, right?
Yeah, I would imagine burnout
yeah.
would set in, relatively
Yes.
quickly.
Exactly. So that's mostly what I teach now, how people not to burn out. I try not to say that too much, but I teach them just how to restore who they are, who they once felt like they were in their 20s and 30s. And so the panic attack came because I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. I kind of like set it out to the universe. All right. So little by little pieces were falling apart. And then the state, we had a definitely conflict of interest with the state, and they didn't renew our license because we just didn't want to abide by their low standards of what they expected. And so from there, we kind of dabbled in it in another state. My husband was actually the person that went to Comcast in Philly and actually set up that deal for everyone else to be on TV. So it was a learning experience, right? Because at that point, that was our one source of income. I mean, when we did poultry, we had different sources of income coming in, from that poultry on different sides. And, but this was our one source, right? We kind of figured this was the end game, right? So you never know what life's going to take bring to you, drop in your lap, or how it's going to change. But you always have to think, well, maybe there's something, better coming towards me. So I'm just going to be open. So we had to get out of that rut after it actually happened and kind of be like, okay, now what? So we just pivot, and this was my direction to go, was to help more people deal with all the delegating and just, figure out where they need to save their energy, where they're wasting their energy, how they can really fully own what they need to get more impact in the world. And, he's doing what he's doing. But for me, I needed to really own my power. So I went on a process about 3 years of just really doing a lot of inner work, doing a lot of research, and figuring what would be the best way to help millions of people. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm totally intrigued.
Yeah. So with the So you learned a lot of lessons in your MMA business and from your MMA business, and essentially that with research, you're helping now others apply the lessons that you've learned. What is one common lesson or theme that you keep coming across that most people have difficulty with?
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, that's the entertainment world. So we were like, our friend is the guy at Live Nation, so he's the top guy, and we met a lot of stars, a lot of TV people, and I always go back to when you see a fight or a MMA event or a mixed martial arts, you can never think that person that's losing is going to lose, right? So I call it the fighter's mindset, where in reality you think everything's going against you, and then you ultimately win at the end. Right? Because you just keep that sense of hope, that that belief within yourself, that complete and utter faith, and you pull through no matter what. So the fighter's mindset is one of the most amazing things that I have learned. Just seeing the people over the years and seeing the people grow that were in our league that are now in the UFC, and see how amazing, how what the experiencing, they lost fights, and what they went through, and how they came back stronger, right? Even though they lost, or even when they were losing and they came back to win at the last 10 seconds of a fight. I mean, that, if you can't take anything, and people are like, oh, they're just fighting each other, it's nothing. I mean, it's one of the most strongest mindsets that you can have, is a fighter's mindset. Because in reality, you have a guy on top of you. You have everyone booing you. You have everything against you. And you know deep down inside that you can win this, right? You never lose that hope. So, seeing those amazing things happen all the time is definitely what more people could take into their everyday, and know that where you are right now is the decision you made. And it's easily changeable, right? By saying yes to yourself again, and just totally being honest with yourself about who you want to be.
Totally, totally. And I like the idea of the fighter's mindset, because that brings to mind, if you've already given up on yourself, what chance of victory do you have, really, or success,
Yeah,
Yes.
if you're just mentally, if you're just physically showing up, but mentally you're checked out, that you're not going to get the result that you're looking for.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. And like I said, that's something that most people never, and I'm going to not lie, because I definitely, before I used to do the fights and stuff, I was just like, what is this? And a lot of people still don't even know what it is. But the training that goes into this sport is one of the most amazing, like that alone is like, they're up on the mountains, like training, and it's a lot of mindset. And we forget that in reality, you are creating what you think of most. So when you have a strong mindset, it definitely gets you through all the times when you think everything's going your way, and next thing you know, it falls apart. So, a lot more people need to be taught this, I definitely believe. Right?
I love that. I love that. You're creating what you think of most. That's profound.
Yeah, I'm reminded of, I think it was Deepak Chopra a number of years ago did a study and said that the average human thinks like 60,000 thoughts a day, and the average human, 90% of them are negative.
Yes.
So being able to retrain that is so important for success, in any area of life.
Yeah. You reprogram yourself.
Yeah. And I just actually said that on my other podcast interview yesterday, which is so good. But here's the thing. We are getting so distracted with all of this nonsense in the world. We forget that we are one of the most powerful things walking is what we have right inside of us, right? And we're thinking about all this other stuff we're supposed to be doing, instead of just thinking like, how can I tune this up? How can I level this up? My experience here, my impact here. And even if you have a 9 to 5, but I mean, it's still, you can be that best employee. You can be that best relationship, or, person, or have that best career. And people think they can't have it all, because that's what they believe, right? Because they're just believing what other people told them.
Yeah, they're disempowered.
Yeah, we don't question our own beliefs.
Right. So, and I say, how can you step into your power? How can you totally own that power? So what I talked about yesterday was this one simple thing that I feel is mind blowing, is if you would start every sentence with I love. So that could be as simple as, when you wake up, I love getting dressed, I love brushing my teeth, like the thoughts, right? So you're just tuning into your thoughts, but starting every sentence with I love really turns that negativity that you're having to yourself, those negative thoughts, into a positive energy of belief, confidence, loving yourself again, loving your actions, loving your choices, loving your decisions, so that you're more confident to take decisions that you may not have taken 5 years ago or 2 months ago, right? Turning the shifting, getting above the line of disbelief.
Yeah, that's
See,
awesome. I mean, I know for myself, the more aware I become of my own thoughts, the more I realize how much I say I don't want blank. And
Mhm.
I know that's common with a lot of people. I'll ask them, "Oh, so what do you want?" Well, I don't want this, and it's so disempowering.
Yeah. But we automatically do that. We just automatically go to that haven, right? It's just so weird that unless you're completely aware. So that's why I say if you can tune into your self-awareness, meaning your mindless thoughts, right? Your conscious thoughts, and really tune into the self-love and then keep the discipline in doing those actions every day. That's your foundation of building the most amazing, extraordinary life ever, because you have to start at your basics so that you can build. And from there, you will see so many things start coming to you, and you'll be like, oh my goodness, that just happened. So, why don't you two tell me about a situation where you were thinking something and it showed up and you're just scared you because it came so fast? And you were like, oh my God, I just thought of that. That person just called me, and you're like, and it hit you that you actually put it out there that you thought about this person or this situation and it came to you so fast.
mm,
For me, I mean, certainly, thinking of someone and then getting a phone call 3 minutes later, absolutely. And then another one that's come up for me recently is, and this may come across to a lot of people as woo woo or whatever, but I find change on the ground a fair bit. And, a few
Right.
months ago, I would find like a penny. I'd be like,
Right.
okay, cool. So I pick it up, take it, whatever. I'm not proud, I'll admit. But a couple weeks ago, I found two nickels sitting next to each other. So I
Right.
picked them up,
Whoa.
threw them in my pocket, and then this
Right.
past week, two quarters sitting next to each other, and I'm just going, okay. I hate to use the buzzword of abundance because it sounds so freaking hippie-ish, but it's definitely coming to me.
Yeah, it's a sign. So I say, when people say abundance, I don't consider that hippie, but who knows? Maybe they had it all, right? But here's the thing. The funny thing is, you picked it up and got a little bit excited, right? So it's that feeling, right? So
Mm.
really, when people don't realize you have these thoughts, but the feeling is what really brings it into action. Like I pick up pennies all the time, and I'm like, yes, I get super excited. Why not?
I
Right?
appreciate you
Because
admitting that.
because it's like, hell yeah, a penny still exists. Like anyway, I mean, I have a son who's 17, but in reality, a penny is a penny, and I'm spending $100 like water because everything that I buy him is $200. Shoes,
Right.
whatever. So but I want to be super excited about that penny because in reality, money is just an energy like anything else. So my go-to is like I make a profit off everything I do, every transaction, everything I do. I always have that in my mindset. So I'll go to stores and something will be completely discounted, or some weird thing like I'll pay for something and then next thing you know, I'm getting something else or someone's buying me something. So it's always these little things that happen. And I like to say, play with it, right? Don't think it's woo woo until you play with it and you believe in it. Because when you start tapping into the playful part of it, like really saying, okay, like you said, someone called you, you thought about somebody, they called you, play around with things and just test them. Give yourself 2 weeks and test certain things and see how that works for you. Everyone's completely different because everyone's level of energy or level of belief in that spot is different. So I'll say it like this, credit score, right? If you are below a certain number, you are not getting anything. They can care less. They're not giving you nothing, right? You can't get a car. You won't be able to get anything. You got to put all kinds of money down. If your credit score is super high, I call that like your positivity, you're in the super positive numbers, right? Right. It's like a high number. So that is just like what happens with your energy. If you're above a certain number of like a 500 mark, your energy and your happiness and your positivity starts to attract those things you think of quicker. If you're below a certain number, you start to not, those things aren't showing up, right? you feel like the world's against you. You feel like, oh my God, I have the worst life ever. Why is this always happening to me? Oh God, my car's breaking down. Like you always have these awful thoughts, right? And they seem to show up all the time because that's where your energy is.
Mhm.
And I call it your frequency. So when your frequency is a little bit higher, it could be 501, you will start to see a change. But that's because you have to just be super excited and tuned in to that one thing. And I try to relate that to people so they can understand, yes, you can get that brand new car now because you're above your credit limit, right? And that's the same thing. Now that you really did the work and you realize that the positive mindset, the way you think, the way you're creating or life's following you with your thoughts, you can get this now because you've done the work. You really showed and believed in yourself, right? So that's the same type of process. And it's best to show it that way because people can understand. Most people can only stand the physical things they see. They can't understand the reality of the power of the gift that you were born with. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, very well said. Now, I was kind of curious, like you were talking about playing with, the energy, if you will. Like, could you elaborate on that a little bit more? Like,
Yeah,
what does that look like for you?
it's the excitement, right? The passion, okay? The desire.
Okay.
I don't know how raw we can get here, so I'll tone it down.
No, please,
Go
please.
all the way.
Okay.
This is
All right.
To
awesome.
100.
Okay, so it would be like having an orgasm, right? That experience of excitement in your body, that's where you need to be. So when you're in that our energy in that level connected with the love and everything else is one of the most experiences. It's like an amazing shift for you. So getting excitement, like you're going on the first vacation you ever went on with the love of your life, right? Like being in that type of energy, where like nothing else exists but that moment and you're so present in it. So feeling that on levels that are not once in a blue moon, once a year when you go on vacation, every single day. What we get geared and what we get into is we're okay being miserable. We're okay settling. We're okay not feeling good every day, right? We're okay
Mm.
waking up and hating our life, but still going through it. Who said that we have to do that? Who said we have to wake up every day and just pay for bills and barely make their bills, right? Who said that, right? Like, that's not what we're just made for. So
That's true.
when we start to be like, hey, I want to get super excited. I mean, this is like, I'm not going to say it's not work. It's definitely work, but it's more of you just tapping into what would it look like for me to be in my full potential? Like, how would that feel? What would my normal day look like? So if you can sit down and say, you want this normal day to look like this and feel it and own it every single day, then your energy is going to start really, you're going to see more creative ways to make more money, more creative ways to impact people, more creative ways to make connections with people. People are going to show up in your feeds, in your emails, and stuff like that. It happens to me all the time. I mean, I was just like, I was the other day, like, I'll give you an example. I was thinking to myself, okay, I really want to know how Joe Polish created his 25K club online, right? I'm like, how the heck did he do that? It's just like it was a thought that just randomly popped in my head. So I happened to do this millionaire consultant, like, private coaching thing. And I happened to not watch the whole video. So then I'm like, let me go back and finish watching this video, right? It was a thought. This is how I live my life. I get a thought, I take the action, right? I try not to think about what, just do it. So I was like, go finish the video, right? It was just like an introduction video. And most people wouldn't have finished it. They probably wouldn't have went back. So I went back, and at the very end, the last 3 minutes, he says, well, my friend Joe Polish did this exact same process to start his 25K group, Genius Network. And I'm like, what? Like for me, and I'm like, yes, like I get excited, right? Because I wanted to know that answer. So, I mean, I really wanted to know that answer. It was something that was in me and I wanted to know. And so he told me he uses the same process that he's teaching us, or that, the same kind of concept on what you do and how you get people to be more of your tribe, but almost, it was just the most amazing thing, right? And I'm thinking to myself, that's how we started it. Now it's worth $6 million a year. That's how many people he has in the 25K Genius Network, group or private. So it's just like, whoa, right? And that happens to me a lot because I'm just very in tuned, but I've done the work, right? So it's definitely a consistent thing every day. And when I hear something or I feel something, I definitely know that's my higher self telling me this is your next step, right? So you have to be like, so what's my next action step? What should I take to get this ball, this momentum going, keep it going, get this, and nobody said it's going to be an overnight experience, right? I mean, unless you're very good at your tuning into your energy, like I've had stuff happen. But I mean, it could take a year, but who cares? It's a journey. Wouldn't that year be better spent doing something you love than something you absolutely hate year after year? So
I would certainly think so.
yeah, you would think, but that's not the reality of what we.
Yeah, it brings it back to giving yourself permission, to think and act that way.
Yes.
And a lot of people, they just stuck with that negative programming, and it's really disappointing. It's just, you see people with potential, and then they're just, putting themselves down. They're just in this negative like cycle. And with a couple of changes, that could be a positive cycle, but people just don't allow it.
Yes, exactly. They don't have the space. And believe me, I have moments now to this day where I could still get tapped into that negative field. It
Mhm.
happens. It definitely happens. And I'm like, whoa, is that what you really want? But I'm really good about catching myself right before
Yep.
I jump off and then fall and break my legs, right? Like,
Exactly.
okay, hello, check it. It may be a couple hours, it may be 10 minutes, but I'm back, right? I make sure I get myself back. And that's just about making those conscious decisions, on who you really want to be.
Absolutely.
Big
I
time.
mean, the mind is designed for survival, and so
Yes.
if we're thinking positive, we're not looking for things that could potentially affect our survival, and so it's really moving beyond that, survival, and really realizing that, hey, there's no dinosaurs, there's no tigers after me, like everything's going to be okay. Let's focus on more of the positive things, and really the survival generally isn't an issue.
See, that just makes me think of, I don't know who this is from, and I apologize for stealing or butchering it, but thriving, not just surviving, right? And getting into that mindset.
Yeah. But wouldn't it be a great challenge just to see what could I really do? Like what
Mm.
if I had this magic tool? I mean, like what could be my fullest, complete, extraordinary life and live it every day? What would that be? Like people don't even let that come in? They don't even let the imagination part of it come in,
I'd be
let
the
alone.
emperor wizard of the entire world.
That's a good one.
Yep.
I'm reminded. I've seen a meme on the internet before, or something along the lines of, you know, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do?
Right.
And I think
Yes.
that's a much more empowering question than, oh, I wonder if I could do this, or whatever else.
Yeah, people still think, okay, so am I gonna fail? It's almost like if you have your little toe out, and you're still not sure, like that can hold you back, right?
Yeah, people think failure is a bad thing most of the time. And I was just listening
Yeah.
to a podcast by Sean D'Souza. He's the guy who created the 3 month vacation, and he was saying, we're taught all up until we enter school that failure is okay. Make mistakes. That's how you learn. Then once we enter school, we get penalized for making mistakes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we just get conformed to this structure of don't make mistakes, don't step out of line, don't think outside the box, and we essentially um, limit ourselves in that box for the rest of our lives unless we hop out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't get me started with school.
Yeah, I was just about to
That
say
would
that.
be
I
like
mean,
a whole another. I'll just make it this simple. I'll just say like, there's teaching our kids to be paper pushers, which is the most awful thing ever. Um, but uh, but the box reality, when you think about it, I like to tell people when exactly are you just outside walking, like in your day? Like figure that out. When are you not inside closed doors, right? Because most people, they go to work, they're in their house, they go to work. The most time they spend is walking from their car to their job, to their house, to their store, or to the restaurant, right? But they're not focused on themselves. They're focused on their problems or the situations that are coming up, or, things that they can't control. And sometimes just about just checking in with your breath and walking outside for 5 minutes, watching the birds, listening to the squirrels, being laser focused into the what Earth gives us every day and doesn't ask for anything in return, right? Like tap into that energy. But we're always in a box, right?
Hmm.
We're always in four corners and, always locked into something. So being outside I love to tell people, if you can do that for 5 minutes, just go outside and just look up. Just look at the clouds like you were 2 years old or 5 years old, and just connect there.
Yeah, it's
And breathe.
huge.
Yeah, especially in this world nowadays, so
Right. Yeah.
distracting.
Everybody's
Yeah.
walking around, staring at their phone, and I'm just as guilty. So,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
me too, of course, right?
and I'm just reminded of something I tell people that I don't often do myself, because again, for whatever reason, I'm usually able to find a good parking spot. The universe kind of provides a good parking spot for me. But when I'm going somewhere, park in the back of the parking lot. Get that extra minute
Mhm.
of walking in. It's good for you. A
Yeah,
little extra fresh air. So I'm challenging
definitely.
Yeah.
myself to take my own damn advice.
I get outside every morning, so that's a must for me. But yeah, I mean, I'm tuned into my phone because that's my business too,
Right.
and so in that reality, I know that I'm still like helping people, right? In that thing, I try not to just randomly watch videos of like reality
Cats.
shows and stuff.
Cat videos.
So I mean, in that case, but I am that person that if I tell you I have definitely done it, I have showed somebody how to do it, or I tap into it every day. And that's just because why would I teach you something that I haven't done? But, I like to tell you
Mm.
to test what works for you, right? You may like to walk at night and watch the stars, when everyone's asleep and you want to go outside and you want to experience that part of life. Some people like to watch the sunrise. Some people like to watch it mid-afternoon, when the sun's right in the middle of the sky. So it just depends on you as a person. And that's the key. Finding your unique ability to give yourself permission to own your life and exactly the way you want it every single day with every breath, and not settle for things that you feel you are worth more deep down inside. I mean, we've all experienced the situation where we're sitting somewhere and we're like, I could do that. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But we don't take any action, right? So
Yep.
that's the difference between a person that says, I could do that, and then the person that's on stage actually doing it. They committed. They said yes. They said, I want this, right? I want this more than I can breathe, and they actually didn't stop. So, yeah.
And
Beautiful.
Carrie, does this tie into what you call daily self-mastery?
Yes, it
Mm.
does. So the daily self-mastery and the wealth is you completely giving yourself permission. So I call it aligned actions. Like if I hear a thought, I'm getting that thought for a reason. And it's probably because I forgot something mostly, right?
Mm.
So if I forgot something, it'll be like, don't you supposed to call that person? And I'm like, oh crap, I totally missed it. But I had literally told myself, like, don't you should check and see what time this call is supposed to be, and this has happened to me just recently. And I'm like, I kind of blew it off. And then I'm like, crap, I really wanted to talk to that person. Totally screwed up that connection, right? Because I forgot to show up like 20 minutes late at this point. I mean, and these are not business calls. These are just connection with people. Like, do you know what I mean? Online, like
Mhm.
not like a business call, but
That gets pretty awkward
yeah,
pretty
it's
quickly.
more like someone had reached out to me or they wanted to connect on not a business thing, but just, hey, who are you? Or I've met them in a group, or something like that. So it was just like, let's feel each other out type of a call.
Yeah.
So I haven't put much energy into it, obviously, but I'm saying, to be totally honest, that this kind of stuff happens all the time, right? I'm not against showing you my faults because I have them too. But it was me reminding myself or me tuning into something that I needed to take action on and me not taking action or taking action, right? So the non-action resulted in, what I have, like maybe a very missed connection that I could have made. Who knows what it could have happened, right? If I would have took connection, it would have been an amazing experience. So it's about that self-mastery, being able to listen, trust, and believe in that inner thought and know that it is for your higher good. So that means full potential. That means self-mastery, being completely in tune with yourself and trusting your intuition again. So trusting what happens or what's being said to you is going to help you in the long run. It's going to make you stronger and give you more courage. And it could be little things like that. It could be journaling every day. I mean, I like to say, what fills you up? Because some people like to hear their voice or video record, so they necessarily may not like to journal, but they may like to record their voice and get their thoughts out of their head that way, you know. So it is definitely goes along with just tuning back into yourself. Stop looking on the outside for something else to fix you when you don't need fixed. You just need to show up for yourself.
Now, beyond the journaling or the recording video, do you have any, just...
Or voice.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, or just recording your voice.
Right. I mean, do you have anything else that can really help somebody, like really just become more self-aware?
Yeah, so I do have a form, I'm pretty sure. Let me think if it's on my website. I think it's in one of my email funnels when they go through, if they do my quiz. But it's a 24-hour mastery. So we just kind of go into your day and figure out where you're wasting time, what type of thoughts are coming up. So my quiz kind of figures out what would be your first thought. So say you're super hungry, you're sitting somewhere. What would be your first thought or your first action? Some people will go get in their car, drive through fast food. Some people will just get a banana. Some people will drink water. Some people would cook a meal, Some people will get something frozen. So your first initial thought and action is who you really are, right? So when you start to be aware of those actions, you will definitely be like, oh, nope, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to replace that with this, right? Have a trigger word. A trigger word is something that when you say it, it completely keeps you back in focus. Like mind zone. Anytime I feel like I'm distracted, I'll just say the word zone and I'll just take a breath and get right back to where I need to be. Sometimes it's a doorway. People walk through a certain doorway into a room. They turn on a switch into their idea avatar person they want to become, right? So you have to map out who you want to be, but you have to learn how to turn that switch on. It could be, I have another one, like if I wear a bracelet when I go out to an event, like I wear my diamond bracelet, and then I'll just be like totally laser, like everybody wants to know my name when I walk in the room. Like I'm sending out that energy. I'm not going in that room and saying, I don't belong here, I'm like, who do I need to reach out? Who's the 5 people I want to get in contact to? What type of results do I want to get from this? Like I am so in tune with making them feel who I am as a person before they even know my name. So it's just about really doing those things that you can say. So when that negative thought comes in, you automatically you can do as easy as when you hear a negative thought, say delete, reset, and then put in exactly what you want. So you have to go through like a sheet of paper or something and just write out what your day looks like now. What would your idea look like? Your normal day look like? Because there's people out there making $1 million a day, right? That's their normal day. Some people are making 500K a day. That's their normal day. They're making deals or they're in the situation to make a deal. It may not close, but their mind's in that deal, in that money, or in that situation, or people are running every day. That's their normal day. So what would it look like for you to get into that mindset or have that a part of your normal day if you don't? Most people's normal day is completely nothing that's tuned into them. It's all reaction. So a normal day that elevates your level would be you creating some type of impact or a foundation of discipline within. So like maybe some people, hey, I need to start doing things that are going to generate 10K a month, like, so what would that look like? What would that feel like? So those are some tips. I don't want to give you too many things
Yeah,
because people
absolutely.
get
Paralysis by analysis.
but I don't want to confuse people because people are already like, and I tell people just stop watching TV so much. How about that? Then you
Right.
can figure out, you can start there, right?
Yeah, I know for me, I will, if I'm reading or listening to podcasts or whatever, like I will get paralysis by analysis, and I really need to work one-on-one with a coach to really kind of hone's not the word I'm looking for, but really direct and get me hyper focused. I have just a really hard time with that. So definitely,
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not alone in that.
Yeah. Well, and people feel like it's okay to get help. It's okay to ask for help, right? And that's where we forget. And then we definitely forget that most people, I'm not that type of person that's saying, hey, you have to pay me a ton of money, but I have to string you along for the rest of your life. I'm going to give you the best, right? And I want you to be gone in 3 months. Right? Like, I do not want you attached.
I'm not seeking a
Your
codependent
space.
relationship either.
Exactly.
Right. Do you know what I mean? But then some people go in and they get caught up in that. I can't live without this person. In reality, you can. And, and it's about building your foundation. And that's what I think people are missing, just that strong foundation of what they need to survive. And people can come back and tap in anytime they want or that type of thing, but really building that foundation of inner strength it's just the key to just start there.
Absolutely.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, because without that foundation, it's anything you build is going to be shaky. And I've seen these folks, I've had clients where, they become attached to me, and it's not a bad thing, but they start to like have this codependent thing, and I try to set them up so they're able to live on their own 2 feet, because that idea of I can't live without this person, no matter who it is, it's you were able to live before them, you'll be able to live after them, right? And just focusing on what you can do for yourself more than anything, I think, is the most powerful thing.
Yeah, because it's like having a bad relationship, right?
Oh yeah.
And then they totally hate you, or where do you go? You're going through all this drama because they've lost the love of their life, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's not what it's about. It's really not. It's just about, so many people have been so hurt in their past. I think they just have a really hard time in trusting who they are and their decisions. And, we make decisions all the time. I say these 2 things. I try to say this a lot. We make more decisions on food and money, and these are the 2 things that you don't get taught in school, right?
Mhm.
So every time you make a decision on food, you have to pay money for it. And we all had this friend that we go out to dinner with, and they just will not pick something off the menu. And you're like, oh my God, can you make a decision, please? And
Sounds
then,
like most girls I've dated.
right? And it's coming back, and then the waiter's coming back or waitress, and you're just like, right? So, okay, so think about that. They're spending that much time on that decision. They're doing that 5 times a day, mostly, right?
Mm.
What do you think that they are going to be in their life making decisions, how that's going to be? And do you think they're wasting time there? Of course, right? So how much
and energy too.
Yeah, right? How much energy are they losing by being in these situations of just lack of making a decision and can't commit to what they want? Or when they do make a decision, it's like, why did I order this, right? They're totally not trusting themselves, right? There, you had to hear that whole other side, right? So right there, if people could just figure out that part of their life, they'd have so much energy for the stuff they really want. They'd have so much space for what they really, really want, because now they're cutting out about 2-3 hours of decisions that aren't doing anything good for them.
I'm totally reminded of both like Steve Jobs and Zuckerberg. They both wear the same thing every day because they don't want to expend mental energy on that. Like, I don't care what the hell I dress like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just get over it and get to the real stuff.
Absolutely.
right? The
Absolutely.
big, huge decisions in life, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly. But that I wanted to break that down for people that are listening to
Please.
understand that
Hmm.
this happens when you're at the grocery store. This happens, right? You're in the aisle, you can't make a decision, or you get caught up in that same thing where you go to the same grocery store and you're buying the same things that make you feel miserable. So it's how can you free up that time that you're wasting? These are all wasteful acts. Hey, maybe eat the same thing for a month, at least that way you would know you're going to feel good because you like it. And you don't have to make decisions and you know how much money you're going to spend for that whole month. Right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not going to make you feel like, oh my God, I'm wasting all this money. I have to throw this food away. I didn't even like this. I mean, people go through a lot, and I was like, those are the two biggest things you deal with every single day. If you can really focus just on that, that would be a big shift. Give yourself a month. It would be a big shift.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
because
people do
people,
tend to eat, what is it, 7 or 10 foods, like 90% of their lifetime, and
Hmm.
so, just kind of switching those particular foods to ones that are going to serve us is going to be life changing.
Yeah.
yeah, people don't, how do I put it? They don't necessarily think about this stuff because, like, we're never taught this in school. We're never, we just kind of go with the flow and whatever, everything. We do what other people are doing. We pretty much follow their
The herd.
leads. Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And if we don't realize something's wrong until we really reflect on it and ask ourselves how we feel about something.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
and asking ourselves that simple question is like it shoots light bulbs up. But some people just, I feel like they're not ready for it. I don't know if they're not ready for it or they're just not open to it. But I've found different people. Their lives will change within a day if they start thinking a certain way. Other people, it takes years.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? That's what I said. That's why everyone has to test and see what works for them, right?
Hmm.
That one person you think it's going to take years, one simple thing may take them 2 months,
Yep.
because they figured out what works for them. And this is the reason. And I'm always like, I love all these names online, but the reason I named it 21st Century Blueprint, because it is a new blueprint for you. You need to get your mindset out of the 80s and 90s and show up for what you want. Stop complaining about what you don't have because it's your decision, nobody else's, right?
Hmm.
No fairy came down and says, "Oh my God, this is the life you have to live for the rest of your life." You said yes to that job. You said yes to that husband. You said yes to that wife. You said yes to whatever you're living right now. It is your decision, and it is that simple and that clear. And if we get our blueprint, our daily blueprint for the 21st century in line, because in reality, the day you're living right now is the day you're going to be living in 3 months and 5 months until you put in what you want. So until you're ready to make space in your day for what you want, that is the only thing that's going to show up for you. So I like to say it's a 21st century blueprint for you because it gets you to think like you're in the 21st century. You're not in the past anymore. We're not in the future yet. We're right here in this present moment. So how can you start thinking like that person that you want to be right now with every breath?
That is an awesome
Love it.
question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm in love with that.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Cool.
So, Claude, before we jump into any wrap
Hmm.
ups, do you have any more questions for Carrie?
You know what? I think I covered mainly everything that I thought I was going to cover, and a little bit more. Just I don't know, there was some MMA stuff, but I feel like we're on a bit of a time crunch, so perhaps we'll have to do a round two and delve into hitting each other in the face. Well, not like us, but
Thank
like
God
Okay.
we're over the internet and we're not actually in
yeah,
person.
yeah. Else Brian would have murdered me,
I will
several
neither
different
confirm nor
ways.
deny. All right.
No, I think we're good to go into the wrap up.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
So, some kind of rapid fire questions. The questions are short and sweet. The answers don't have to be. What is something that you used to swear by that you no longer believe is as effective as you once thought it was? And what did you kind of replace that with?
I used to swear by that you are in complete control. Like, okay, so this is a good one. So energy, right? So I just swear by, like, why do people drink coffee and all that kind of stuff? I think it's the worst thing ever. Like, I was one of those people, right?
Hmm.
Like, totally why. And now I don't know. I don't, I mean, I guess espresso is a coffee, right? But before
Kind of, kind of.
I would have it like when we would have a drink, you're out to dinner and you have a nice coffee drink or something at the end of the night, like, or something. It's like that. But I wasn't an everyday coffee person, and I'm still not, but I can understand how people enjoy their coffee. So now I kind of feel like that was just me judging people, on them drinking coffee, which I feel like you didn't, because in reality, you can go without or drink water first and, not overdose on coffee, but because your body makes energy. But I was very judgmental on the fact that, why do people think they have to live life with coffee first? I think that's the most ridiculous thing ever, right? And now I'm more open to believe. I mean, I guess that's probably not even answer your question.
No, I
It
mean
kind of does.
it was not the direction I was going with it, but I love your answer. It's awesome.
I mean, I don't know. I just felt like that just came to me, right? So I just said it. I can
Roll
do
with it.
another
I
one.
love it.
You
No,
No,
no.
okay?
I think that's the best type of answer, really.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and to say that coffee, I mean, I still judge myself and other people when it comes to coffee, but I know that, you can enjoy it, but when you start to rely on it, when you
Hmm.
start to need it, that's when there's a problem.
Yeah.
And I think
Right.
that's with anything
Agreed.
in life,
Yeah,
Yeah.
except for
another
food, really.
person, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely agree. I agree with that.
So, if you had to rescue three books from a fire, what books would they be?
Okay. So, learned optimism, Course of Miracles, and The Power of Love.
Okay,
Mm.
now I are the learn.
I totally woo-wooed you on that.
No, no. Um, shoot, the first one you mentioned, I've read
Learned
partially.
optimism?
I learned Optimism.
Learn,
I can't remember the
yeah,
author.
I can't either, so don't ask me.
Fair enough.
We'll
Fair
put it in
enough.
the show notes, folks.
Absolutely. Yeah,
But
we'll
learned
figure it out.
optimism. Yeah, that was definitely the one that changed me years ago.
Okay.
That was awesome.
Perfect. Perfect. And now I guess we've kind of touched on this already, but if you could just give like one piece of practical advice to our listeners, what would it be, and why did you pick that particular piece of advice?
Okay, so I would definitely say to just get out of your head and then get into the life that you want, right? Stop
Mm.
thinking self-sabotaging, thinking you're an imposter in the life that you're living, and just take action, implement, and just go before you're even ready, because you will have exactly what you need when you're start to move forward and take action. So I definitely think it's more of people in their head and saying, oh, it's just not that perfect. I can't go. But nothing's perfect. No one started, all those businesses out there never ever started when they were completely perfect. Half of them didn't even know what they were doing when they started. They didn't even have anything. They just start selling it first, right?
Right.
So
It
we
seems to
think,
me that the most successful businesses never start with a business plan.
yes. They just start selling their idea. It's because, and then that's how it is. You have an idea, but you hold it and you try to like hide it from the world. But you get ideas, so you get to share them and save and change lives and solve problems. So most businesses survive because they had an idea, right? And all they
Mm.
did was sell somebody on their idea, and then they put the rest together, or they hired somebody to do the stuff they didn't want to do. So in reality, it's just start, right? I love to do this one. Everyone starts at zero. It's the numbers that come before your zero that matter,
Mm.
which I think is amazing. I mean, I can go on and on like I do for myself in general, because I am a very high, like boom, boom, like to just move and just get stuff done.
Hmm.
But I felt like my energy was getting a little stagnant. I'm not going to lie, just not as good as I felt like it should be at my age. Um, and so I said, so in the winter I get a little blue because I'm in New Jersey, and I said, well, I don't want to feel like every summer or when spring comes I get, oh, let me start getting healthy again, like really healthy, you know what I mean? And you know how people are like, I got these months to just not do shit and read and lay in a blanket. I was like, no, I want to keep running through the winter. So I've continued my running. I run 50 miles this winter. And then I said to myself, okay, let's do something else. So I've been doing every day, 500 abs a day. So even if I don't work out, those abs are enough to physically keep my body moving, but also to keep me strong in my core, but in my back, and just keep my body, my foundational body strong. So for me, that's what I needed to do. So you need to figure out what you need to do to keep yourself strong and keep you at that level you need to succeed.
Sorry, what kind of exercise?
It's 500 abs a day. So
like
I have
crunches.
I do all different. When I'm at the gym, I do the weights.
Okay.
When I'm at home, I do bicycles and planks and whatever.
Just 500 reps of something on abs.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
No matter what it is, I change it up all the time. I do videos or I don't do videos. If I have a quick day and I got to go fast, I'll do 100 sets. You know what I mean? Like it just depends on what I want to feel and how much time I have. But that is me committing to myself. Consistent small actions make mind-blowing results, right?
Absolutely.
I like that.
In reality, this is helping me in my whole life. Not just my physical body, but everything, because I'm committing to myself and I'm showing up. That's the hardest thing. It's saying I want to do something, but then show up to do it.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up for success.
Yeah. Exactly.
Perfect.
This was so much fun. I had a great time.
Good. Well, we got a couple more questions for you, so we're not letting you off the hook yet.
Are you serious?
Yeah, a couple more. So
we're almost there, we promise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who would you want to hear on this podcast, and what would you want to ask them or hear them talk about?
Okay, so Elon Musk, did I say his name right? Oh my God, I love him. He's fascinating. His mind is just fascinating. I want to know like who is implanted inside of him, because whatever soul he has is like magnificent, and this thing has so much power. He is way beyond conventional thinking, right?
Yeah,
he is just
definitely ahead of his time.
Yes, he's definitely I don't know if he's been time jumping or whatever you call that.
I think he's just an android. But...
because he is something, and I'm glad he has so much influence, because some people are like, oh, that's nuts. But what he's done is just phenomenal. So I would just be all over that. I'd eat that up. So yeah.
We'll definitely have to reach out to I can't even say it with a straight face. Maybe one day, Claude. Maybe one day.
It's a challenge. Put it out there.
Absolutely.
I mean, definitely. If you shut yourself down, it definitely won't happen. So
And the title goes right with him. So he may just be like, "Hey, I want to be on your podcast."
That's true. That's true. We'll make it happen one day.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. So, who is the first person that comes to mind, or what is your definition of the optimum human?
Okay, so can I use the same person?
Go for it.
I mean, yeah.
No, I know there's somebody else too. It's Peter
Thiel?
Simon or Simon. Or, it's not Simon, it's Simon or something weird like that. It's I don't know. But he wrote the book Abundance 360 or something like that. Or
okay, I'm not
he
familiar.
has one of those elite type of situations too. And every time on his newsletter, he's telling you about what people are building out there, the most fantastic technology and what they're doing. He's tapped in, right, to getting you to that optimal level. So it's like this. I think he definitely helps big companies not to go down like Kodiak did, right? So he gets you inside and say, well, what's your company doing? Well, because most companies are like, we've always done it this way, and that's failure.
Yeah, that's death of a company for sure.
Yeah, so his newsletters are just amazing. But I'm pretty sure it's Abundance 360 is his private group, and his book is Abundance. So he has a couple books out there. And I love Joe Polish too. So Joe Polish is my cutie. He's my man. But yeah, so I would say him.
Perfect.
Cool.
All right. So, Kerry, appreciate your time. How can our listeners find out more about you? Where can they find you? Either, well, probably not in person, but over the interwebs.
Okay, yeah. So 21, you can do 21 or 21ST, centuryblueprint.com. And that's my website. Kerry Morgan is my name for Facebook, or 21 Century Blueprint on all the social medias, right? And I would say on my website, there is a quiz there. I would love for you to take it, because what it does is it allows you, it's only 16 questions. You do have to put your email in there. I won't lie to you, to get the results, but it's great, to see what is your first reaction to a question. How are you showing up for yourself, and how are you taking action every day, but how are you thinking? And so it just goes into those 4 realms of, let's figure out if we're making the right decision. So that would be a great resource for anyone that's listening. And I hope to see you there. I love doing Facebook Lives. Every once in a while, I'm jumping in there, and I got something amazing coming out where I'm going to be doing like some pop-up summits and interviewing some amazing people through Facebook Live. And so that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. And real quick, I know you've got a five-day positive awareness challenge. Can you tell us real quickly about that and where we can find that?
Yes. So that is right on my homepage, right on the front top. You can click that, and it will take you through 5 days, and it will give you information you can fill out so that you can tap into your positive awareness, and really figure out. I got this great 21-minute program that you can do every day, 7 minutes of 3 different sets of 7 minutes to really tap into your inner self-love and self-awareness and turn on that switch, right? That power switch. Turn on that superhero, I like to say. But yeah, it's right there. You just click the picture right there, and it will take you right through, and there's videos in there and some amazing content for you.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Kerry, appreciate your time today, man. This was awesome. I loved every second of this. So thank you so much for spending an hour out of your life with us.
Oh, you are so welcome. I waited a whole month to talk to you guys, so you must be pretty good. No, that was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it. I hope that our listeners got a lot out of it. I know I did. And I really hope that we'll get you on in the near future.
Great, I would love to.
More about the MMA and some behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, let's call it the fighter's mindset.
Oh, I like that. And
then just make it all about that kind of stuff.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I got some great stories about, like, we've had over 50 fights, so that's over 60 fighters a fight is really amazing.
That right there is a teaser for part 2, folks.
Absolutely.
All right, Brian, Kerry, thank you guys. Another awesome podcast in the books. And we bid you adieu, and thanks for listening, everyone.
You are welcome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thanks for listening to the Optimum Human Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to head on over to iTunes and give a 5-star rating and review, which will help spread the word to more awesome listeners just like you. Head on over to theoptimumhuman.com and subscribe to the free newsletter and get the Optimum Human's Blueprint to the Optimum Life. Download it instantly. Thanks for listening.